back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LDC 3D GSL Super Tournament.
I love how you say super every time.
Super Tournament.
It is super. It's not like a regular tournament. It's like a regular tournament at first. GSL, just walking around, doing reporting maybe, and then suddenly it comes into a phone booth, it rips its clothes off, comes out to super tournament.
I was just about to make that exact joke.
That's because we're connected at the mind.
That's awesome. Yeah. Super tournament goes into the SK Telecom. It's let's see, isn't KT, is that another phone company here?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, goes into a phone booth and comes out with 64 players duking it out, battling, trying to scrape their way past each other, scrape their way past their fellow nerds
clawing at each other,
claw their way to the 100 million won prize at the end of the rainbow that is the Super Tournament.
It is basically like a rainbow. Everyone sees it, and they're in their car and like, do you see that? Everyone's pointing at it. That's exactly what it's like. Sometimes you're clawing at your opponent. Sometimes you're clawing at your table.
That's right. He was clawing his way literally at the table there to try and get past his table to get into the computer, try and get something done. Yes. This is like reading Rainbow. This is StarCraft Rainbow.
Exactly. Sometimes we read it to you guys.
The more you know. Actually, it was The More You Know. That wasn't.
I never really watched Reading Rainbow that much as a kid, actually, to be honest.
I'm thinking. I'm trying right now. I'm straining my brain to try and think of how to make a parody of the Reading Rainbow theme song. But take a look. It's in. I can't think of anything that rhymes with "look" that's StarCraft related. There's not even
look. It's the GSL and Super Tournament.
There you go. We're going to get started here with some Terran versus Terran action in just a moment.
Yeah.
And this is actually going to be a pretty good series. Take my word for it. It's like... What?
Reading Rainbow, but don't take my word for it.
Yes!
Was that
Don't
intentional?
take my word for it. No, it wasn't intentional. Dang it! Perfect joke. Take my word for it, because Rain and Keen are not the most well-known players, but we're going to take a look at them right now. In fact, they are actually going to give us some very good games. I can feel it. There's Rain. He got pretty far in some of the previous seasons, and what's not on that screen is he actually has a silver medal from Open Season 3.
Yes.
Got owned pretty bad by MC in that, but has been sticking around for a while. Actually fell down to Code A, and then somehow got his way back into Code S, and has kind of been hanging around at the bottom Code S for a couple seasons, keeps barely getting back in. Anyway, he is 3-3 versus Terran in recent memory, but he's actually overall 8-6, 54% win rate for TSL Rain. Lost to MVP and the up and down matches, but put up good fight, and then beat Rainbow, and that's why I'm thinking this is going to be a good match, because even though a couple weeks ago, I probably would have said, oh, Rain, he's pretty bad. I don't really think he's that strong of a player, even though he was strong before. He looked good.
He did.
He actually looked really skilled versus MVP, and he actually dominated Rainbow in a TVT in up-and-down matches. So, I mean, he actually came close to taking a game off MVP, and that's difficult to do. On the other side of things, though, Keen did take a game off MVP. Went 1-3, or 1-3 in their Code A match, and there he is. Got to the semifinals as well of Code A. His stats look really bad. He's 2-5 versus Terran, but again, 3 of those losses were to MVP, who virtually no Terrans can beat. So it's a little bit skewed. So that's kind of why I'm saying, even though the stats don't look good, these guys aren't big names, I think it's going to be good.
It is going to be a good game, for sure. It actually says OGS Supernova on our screen.
Whatever.
But that is not our player. We have MVP Keen up right now. And he did qualify, or he made it through the up and down matches like you were saying, so he is in Code S. And anyone who makes it to Code S, they've been through a lot. You see that little achievement there on the screen, doesn't look like much. Oh, he hasn't done anything in Code S yet. Getting there, it's pretty hard. It's not easy.
Yeah, regardless, this is probably not Keen's best mattup, though.
Definitely not.
I'm going to have to give Rain a little bit of advantage here. There's Keen right now, staring intently at his screen. We actually saw some green lights flashing on his eyes there from the studio. There's our studio right now. It's a beautiful studio. Wonderful crane camera. boom camera, I guess you might call it. Train camera, one of those. Anyway, the first map is going to be Terminus Re. You can have a very, very large macro-oriented map for a nice Terran versus Terran. Keen deciding to thumb down and eliminate Dual Sight from the map pool. And we have TSL Rain eliminating Crevasse. Does not like the ice, I guess. So we're actually going to see Belshir Beach in Game 3 if it gets that far, but we could see a 2-0 as well. Either way, we're going to see some strong players duking out. Both players kind of like at the same level. Neither of them are like really top level, but they're both kind of that next tier down, I would say. And we're going to see them duking it out here on Terminus very soon.
Any second now.
Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Do not go anywhere. Stay at your computer. Keep watching. Terran versus Terran here at the GSL.
TSL Rain versus MVP King.
All right, here we have our first Terran player. He is at the left-hand side of the map. For those of you that use your hands to tell directions. Previous silver medalist in one of the open seasons. TSL Rain. And there he is. Working away to his keyboard. And here we have the challenger, member of the team MVP.
MVP King.
New Code S player. Trying to prove himself here in the Super Tournament. Got enough points from his advancement to the semifinals of Code A that here he is in the Super Tournament despite only one appearance in previous GSLs, I believe.
Now, the one thing you'll notice right off the bat is that Rain went gas first before Barracks.
Yep.
So that always means something special is going on.
Something special.
Something special. He's got something special planned. He's got a fast factory, possibly quick Blue Flame Hellions or Banshees. Any one of those things is possible. Could just be a very standard opening just for the faster factory.
Yep.
And I like that choice because on a map like this, you can afford to skip the barracks because no one's going to pressure you and kill you early on, most likely.
Yeah, you know when you go gas first, you can do anything.
Anything.
You can go for a lot of different things. I'm feeling Banshees. I think it might be Banshees.
Banshees are quite strong on this map. There's a lot of places for them to run and hide and then come back later.
Exactly. Lots of big open spaces in space where you can do that. Now, we do have a second gas going down for Keen, though, so he might be able to go for something gas heavy as well, taking his gas later, but still going to have a decent gas income.
Yep, that is indeed the case.
And there's that factory going down for Rain.
Rain doing a good job. I see a lot of players go gas first and then don't get that factory immediately at the 100 gas. Rain did. He got it the second he got enough gas. That means he has the fastest factory possible, really, in this matchup. And both players really are going to struggle to know what the other is doing at this stage of the game. That's how TVT works. Very, very difficult to know. So you have to just play standard and play safe and hope that whatever opening you're doing works against what your opponent is doing, or otherwise you're in trouble. Reactor going down for Keen on his barracks.
And a factory for him as well.
Possibly wants to get some early Marine pressure going. Sometimes you see the reactor, it means you're going to see some sort of pressure with a lot of Marines, the first medevac and an unsieged tank, or sometimes Hellions. A lot of different things you can do with that reactor. Just allows you to get a bunch of extra Marines out for an earlier attack.
A little bit interesting, neither player going for any super fast expansions on this map, since we do tend to see that. And oh, I was wrong. We're seeing Blue Flame, the Infernal Pre-Igniter being upgraded for TSL Rain. I love Blue Flame Hellions. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love Blue Flame Hellions. They are one of my favorite units to watch just because it's so cool to see them run in and try and destroy everything very quickly. They're like fragile sometimes too, though, so...
You have to be very careful, you have to do damage. I like how TVT is kind of getting to a stage where it's almost like every opening you do is a type of harassment-oriented opening. You don't see that many macro-oriented openings. Sometimes you see early command centers, but usually it's either, is it going to just go into fast siege tanks to secure an expansion, or is it going to go Blue Flame Hellions to Banshees? And you see those so often, it always keeps Terran players very honest. Yeah,
a lot of quick Banshees. Now look at this. Keen gets an SCV and then scouts everything. That is really, really bad. He even had Marines. I have no idea. I didn't see how that SCV managed to get in there But Rain really dropping the ball and letting Keen scout him completely. He saw the single gas. He saw the factory with the add-on. He's got to be knowing that it's going to be Blue Flame Hellions at this point.
Yeah, most likely, as well as he saw the command center, which is really huge as well.
Yeah.
So Keen is going for Banshees himself, is researching Cloak as well. So that's going to allow him to do a little bit of harassment.
And that actually could be pretty good.
Especially because Rain...
Actually going to hold that thought. He's going to scan and try and come in here with the Blue Flame Hellions to attack the front. And he's doing some good damage to these Marines. He's almost broken down the defenses if he can get a couple shots on the supply line. But no, the Banshee comes out just in time to drive those Hellions back. Minimal damage done. Only lost his Marines. Did not take any econ damage.
Now here's the thing. Keen actually has that Banshee out. His opponent doesn't have that many Marines and doesn't have a starport.
Exactly.
And if your opponent doesn't have a star... Actually, he does have a starport. My bad. He was hiding in the corner. And he's actually making a Banshee of his own. So he's not going to have a Viking out right away, but without Vikings, it's very difficult to deal with those Banshees.
Yeah, it looks like... No, actually, he is making a Viking.
I'm looking at the wrong production tab.
Yeah, wrong production tab. That's right. But he does have Cloak. And does he have a scan right now? He's planting down a turret, but it appears he doesn't have a scan, so this Banshee's going to be able to get some damage done before that scan goes off. So very nice play by Rain. And... Oh, is it going to get away? Oh! Banshee gets away with 16 hit points. So slick. But yeah, like you said, he didn't have any Marines because he was spending all that money on Hellions. So could have been bad for him if he didn't have that Viking.
Exactly. And, you know, I completely botched the production tabs. 2 command centers being made right now for Rain. Take that back. That's Keen making his 3rd command center down at the low ground expansion.
Yeah, that's a good move. He says, all right, you've got Hellions. I've got stuff that kills Hellions.
I'm like colorblind today, Mole Trap.
I've got complete map control. I'm just going to double expand. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm going to have Siege mode. I got Cloak Banshees. What you want? That's what he said. He said, what you want?
That is exactly what he said.
Uh-oh, that Banshee's going to die.
Banshee's doing a little bit of harassment. Just be very careful, though. Does not want to get too close to that missile turret. Not a whole lot that she can pick off of that location. Has gotten 3 kills, though. 2 Vikings out, though, makes it very difficult to use that. And scan goes off, does die.
Good scan, good scan.
But with that fast 3rd command center coming up for Keen, if we don't see some pressure from Rain, he's actually going to fall behind because he hasn't even put his command center as natural yet.
Wow. Yeah, whereas Keen has already landed that. He's just maynarded drones, SCVs down to the expansion. Look at that, he's so safe. He's got the bunker, he's got 2 siege tanks, he's got siege mode, and Rain isn't even thinking about pressuring right now because he's lost a bunch of stuff. And he's got 2 Vikings, which aren't really good for harassment in general, because he's had to spend the money on Vikings because of the Banshees. So Keen taking a really big lead here, and I'm a little surprised. I thought Rain was going to be putting up a better fight at this point.
I agree, and I feel like part of the problem for Rain was those Blue Flame Hellions just didn't do anything.
Yeah,
really, and they also just surrendered his map control. Once he lost the Hellions, he no longer had map control, didn't have a presence, whereas Keen has been very, very active with his Banshees, keeping Rain in his base. He's got those Vikings, like you say, force the Vikings, but those are Vikings that are not Banshees, and it just has no map control, really.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with a 20 supply lead, Keen's in good shape. Now another Banshee coming in here gets picked off with only minimal kills, and I'm really a little bit surprised that Keen is keeping up with his Banshees, to be honest with you, because they're getting diminishing returns here. Obviously, Rain has Vikings.
Right.
He's got turrets. There's no reason to believe these Banshees are going to do more damage.
Well, they are. I mean, they're doing some damage. He's harassing a little bit. Does lose this Banshee, but I agree. He's committing a little bit too much into the Banshees.
And, you know, it might just be, he might just say, you know what, I've got the advantage. If I can force him to burn scans to kill Banshees and get an SCV or 2, I'm going to stay ahead and he won't be able to use mules to catch up.
And not only that, but he keeps him in his base a little bit, makes sure he can secure that 3rd command center very, very easily.
Yeah, exactly.
And as it stands, the economy for Keen is just much better. In fact, he's 8 workers ahead, but he's dropped more mules. He hasn't been using scans. And he's just significantly ahead in that regard. He's even starting to build up a much larger army than his opponent.
Yeah, he's dropping triple mules off those 3 orbitals, so he's in really good shape. And he looks like he's done with Banshee, switching things over. So he's got the reactor and a drop. Blue Flame Hellion drop is coming in towards the south, and Keen actually has a siege tank there and some Marines. This is probably not going to do very much damage.
Yeah, he's trying his best to target down some SCVs, but doing almost nothing. And that's the second time he's lost 4 Hellions doing very limited damage.
Yeah, he's lost a total of 8 Hellions. not to mention the medevac, and killed like 6 Marines and a couple SCVs. Not too much damage. Another Banshee coming in here. This last Banshee coming
the last
in,
one.
trying to do some damage.
And he is actually going to do some serious damage to these siege tanks. The siege tanks are too far away from any sort of anti-air defenses.
Yep, Vikings are giving chase. And
Doesn't have any scans. Oh, getting too close to that missile turret.
Oh, wow.
Very scary moment there. The Banshee getting out of missile turret range right before the missiles hit.
Yeah, he should probably even escape with that, actually, right now, since he's almost out of energy and health. Try and save it. Oh, the scan goes off. You shall not escape.
It's forced so many scans with these Banshees, and those are mules lost. It's about 270 minerals per mule, and when you've got 3 command centers and you've had yours mining for longer, and your opponent doesn't even have, he doesn't have that 3rd command center up yet at all,
yeah,
you're getting so ahead in economy just by forcing the scans.
Yep, and he's in fact used that to pull ahead to a 30 supply lead. So Keen way ahead in supply.
Rain actually supply blocks.
It looks like he's getting better upgrades as well. Stim is about to finish for MVP Keen.
Armory is going up for Keen as well. Starting to add some missile turrets. Actually, both players getting their armories up. Finally, Rain making his 3rd command center. It's so behind, and in fact, we're going to have a little bit of an engagement here in the middle.
Yeah, this could be pretty bad, actually. He's going to take the tower, so we'll see it coming. Both players taking the towers, actually. But
Rain's got a lot of siege tanks, but the problem is he doesn't have any support for them, whereas Keen has a little bit less siege tanks, but he's got the Marine support.
Oh, he's unsieged, and he doesn't even have siege mode, so these Marines are going to be able to come in here. And the Blue Flame Helmets forcing them back, though. Otherwise, he probably could have picked off a few tanks pretty easily. And this is, I mean, we say Keen's ahead, but this is where TVT can get really gritty, is once those battles happens, if you misclick or you don't have your tank sieged or something like that happens, you can lose your whole army very, very quickly. So
you're exactly right.
Rain can come back.
He sees his opponent's tanks are unsieged. He's going to come in here, but there are a lot of Blue Flame Hellions. He has to be very careful of those Marines. Siege is up first. SCV's coming out to help out. There are a ton of Marines here for Keen, though, and it looks like he's got his siege tanks in a superior position.
Oh,
Rain is losing a lot. He's in a lot of trouble.
Rain still doesn't have siege mode, so he's just forced to fight on the ground, and the siege mode advantage of Keen is huge. Siege mode just finishes. He sieges up just the right moment, and that would, if he had had siege mode 5 seconds later, Keen could have taken that expansion out and sieged up on that expansion at least. Keen taking a 4th base and really just macroing up hard here, though. Still with a 50 supply advantage.
Yeah, and Rain actually is just now making his 3rd orbital command. He has not had a 3rd command center up. There's no one mining. He's just now transferring his SCVs there. And Keen actually can just go home with his army, and it looks like that's what he's going to do because he doesn't have to put on any more pressure. He knows he's that far ahead. Well, he changed his mind. He's going to come back now. I think he's going to tear down these rocks, start to pressure that 3rd base location.
Yeah, it's a good move on this map. One of the reasons why they added. Hold that thought. Vikings coming in, taking out some medevacs. Nice switch by Rain, realizing there was no air presence for MVP Keen and going ahead and getting that air presence. Marines are going to be hard to use to hold that off. Hold that thought. He's charging in. Oh, this might be a mistake with those siege tanks on the high ground. Wow, loses most of his bio and his medevacs and is left with only siege tanks. That was actually bad for Keen. Still ahead, though.
He's forced that command center to lift, and that means Rain is basically on 1 mining base, whereas Keen has taken that 4th base command center. He's actually making it to a planetary, making it impervious to harassments. I mean, as far as supplies go, Rain is 50 supply behind. Keen just in such a good position. Rain can't safely move out. These tanks he's forcing some scans because he does have that air superiority with the Vikings.
That's nice. Oh, but Keen comes in with Vikings of his own. And might even, and then wins out in the micro battle as well and takes air control. Keen taking things back in hand, and Rain now has the inferiority in the air, will not have the vision advantage, cannot slowly force back those tanks. This is looking really bad for Rain.
Yeah, Rain just with no real good economy. He's got a lot of minerals stacked up, but he doesn't really know how he wants to use them exactly. Losing so many of his siege tanks right now. GG!
There we go, GG. MVP Keen taking the first game off of Rain. And man, I thought it was going to be closer.
I did too.
I thought that was going to be closer.
Well, it all came down to those Hellions.
Yeah.
The Hellions did 0 damage. And like we were saying from the start, if you go for one of those aggressive harassment-oriented openings. If you don't do any damage, it's like, you're just so far behind immediately.
Exactly.
Those 4 Hellions, so important.
And on the other side of things, the Banshees did do damage.
Exactly.
They were only kind of a little bit. What am I trying to say? They did only a little bit more than they were worth in a way. They did upgrade Cloak, but some of them got several SCV kills, so they were doing some damage and keeping Rain behind the whole time. And then I loved the double expand.
The double extend was super, super smart
Good
because
move.
that's part of what those Banshees are for. He's got the Banshees out on the map, harassing, keeping his opponent in his base, forcing the scans while he takes another expansion, gets extra mules. He's got the 3rd command center up faster, and that, I think, is the real reason why he pulled significantly ahead. The Hellions didn't do damage. He was a little bit ahead from there, and he used it just the right way.
Exactly. He got more ahead. He just took that 3rd base, and then he just ran away with it with it was the 3-2 economy advantage, basically, at that point. 3 bases to 2. They both had the mules, so he just ran away with it there, and it just avalanched into a major supply lead. And some good decision-making, too. Lost those medevacs. I was a little bit worried for Keenan up for a moment there, but then just came in with Zone Vikings, and it was too far ahead for that.
Something else to mention was that Rain had a ton of siege tanks. Like, he had a huge siege tank count, better siege tank count. His opponent had Marines. So we were watching that. We're like, oh, well, if he sieges up right, he can kill the Marines. But no siege mode.
Siege mode.
Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe he forgot it. I can't imagine he didn't. He purposely didn't get it with that many siege tanks.
I feel like it must have been a mistake, man. You don't get 10 siege tanks and not have the money for siege mode at some point.
Yeah.
It's like skip your 9th siege tank.
He's got 2 factories making siege tanks. Actually, one of them was making Hellions. He switched it a few times, but the Hellions were a smart choice to back up to help clean up those Marines. But without siege mode, you've got only tanks against your opponent having a really strong Marine army with tanks to support it. It's not going to work out very well for you.
Yes, indeed. Now, that was only game 1. Rain, I feel like he's got something more to show us. He played really well against MVP and against Rainbow. I don't think he's out of this yet. The next map is going to be Zelnaga Caverns. MVP Keen hopefully has a little bit of some confidence going into this match. Steam him ahead, but Rain has a lot of experience. Even though he hasn't had a ton of success in recent seasons, he has been around a lot. He's got a lot of experience on stage, a lot more than Keen has at this point. And so he's probably not unnerved. He's just going to go for his build that he has planned and try and take out a win. And if he plays like he did against MVP, I feel like he could put up a lot bigger fight. We'll see if he does a different strategy that might not be so prone to needing to do damage. We'll find out in game 2.